What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Let's get right to it. STDs at an all-time high, and some women don't even care. Let's get right to it.
And talk about sexual liberation and being able to have the same sexual experience as a man. The only problem is that women are at a much greater risk of contracting an STI than men. One of the most common STIs on the rise when it comes to modern women is, you guessed it, herpes. There are more than 500,000 new cases of people in the U.S. contracting genital herpes, with 61% of those cases being women. Officially, 1 in 5 women have genital herpes. So let's take a look at some of these women.
Another red
My
flag.
other question is, because we're going to predict, these are the women publicly saying they have herpes. What percent of hot women have herpes?
I have herpes. If I want to have unprotected sex, I have to tell them. I don't know how this is going to affect my dating life.
Yeah, and so I've interviewed people.
Why are you sharing this on TikTok? If you had an STD, would you share it on TikTok?
That have herpes. Okay, I've interviewed both men and women, and I think people should know out there, and this isn't good or bad. Oh, sorry, this isn't a good thing, but I can't change the way the world is. Most are not going to tell you. Look, I've interviewed some. I've interviewed men that have it, right? And out of the 3 that I interviewed, 2 said that they don't care. They don't use protection. They do not care. And if the girl chooses to not wear a condom, that's on her. That's how they feel. The one tells them, and he hasn't had sex in years. These are the choices. When people get this STD, their choice is to be sexless or to lie. And I'm just letting you guys know to be careful out there.
I've never had an STD.
There's a lot of incentive to lie and do the wrong thing here. I'm not saying it's good, right? It's bad, but it just is what it is.
I can't give birth vaginally if I have an outbreak. I don't fucking know how I'm supposed to tell my parents this. It's also just fucking painful.
Okay, now I'm confused. Why are you telling TikTok?
I know.
Not your parents?
And I'm gonna have these
If I had an STD, the first person I would call would be my mom, because we're close. She's telling millions of people on TikTok before she tells her own parents. Female. This is just another red flag.
Outbreaks for the rest of my life.
It was 1983. I was 20 years old, and I had my first herpes outbreak. To this day, it was one of the most excruciatingly painful experiences I have ever had. All I could do was sit around in a beanbag chair with no underwear on, and when I peed, I'd have to pee through a cardboard
Disgusting.
tube and dry myself with a hairdryer. It was so painful. And I was pregnant, so I was peeing a lot. Again, this was in the 1980s, and AIDS wasn't even a twinkle in sexually transmitted diseases eye. So it was like literally the worst STD that you could get. And as you know, that shit stays with you for life. There was so much stigma.
I forgot what percent get it by 50. It's pretty high though. If you're in the dating market too long, you might get herpes. I won't lie to you guys.
Around herpes.
And you know what else is interesting? They say that women are more likely to get it, but women are more likely to get it because women are fucking more.
Exactly.
I'm sure it's like easier for women to get STDs too.
This whole video is
let's be honest about this. Women are sleeping around more than men.
Yes.
Yeah, because I had such a severe breakout.
This whole video, guys, is another red flag. You gotta be careful. if you don't care, like the 2 guys she interviewed, you know, go for it. I don't care. I'm still going to have them. They have herpes and I get herpes. I don't care.
I couldn't go to work, and I trusted my boss when I gave him the information about why I was staying home, and he told everybody that I worked with. Everybody. And I worked with some old biddies who were extremely cruel and very uninformed and didn't want to use the same bathroom as me. I was also very concerned that I would not be able to have a vaginal birth. But when the time came and they cultured me while I was in labor, it was negative. I did end up having a C-section anyway because of other issues that were going on, but it had nothing to do with my herpes. In fact, I've never had a breakout impact any of the births of my 3 babies. What I can tell you is this: while it sucks, the first breakout is the worst, and they will improve.
So she got herpes again at the beginning of the video, and now she said the first time is the worst. So she was probably a slut when she was in her 20s. 1983. She's in her 50s or 60s now.
Over time, and acyclovir is an amazing drug that we did not.
Yeah, and this is the thing. Men always bail us out of bad decisions. So now the women are getting STDs and then cure them, or essentially cure them, right? And I looked it up. You only have to legally tell people if you have HIV. Herpes you can just spread like a mother.
So if you have HIV, you have to tell them? Because on another podcast or YouTube channel, a girl on TikTok, this was like 7-8 months ago, got HIV, and she said she's not going to tell anyone who she has sex with. She says it's up to them if they want to use a condom or not. So is it illegal if you have HIV and you have sex with someone without telling them? But it should be illegal if you have an STD and you don't tell a person you're having sex with. It doesn't matter if it's just herpes or hepatitis, whatever. You should have to tell the person you're having sex with.
Unfortunately, guys. So be careful out there. I'm telling you.
Be careful.
A lot of
guy.
I know a different guy. He went on a date with a girl and she told him. And he basically told her, yeah, I can't date you. And because of him, he said, if you lied, like we probably would have dated. Guess what she did with the next guy? She's engaged. He doesn't know. All the time. You could be in a relationship and not know. It's disgusting out there. I can't.
Guys.
I didn't make this market. Do you know what I mean? I didn't. And people call me a doomer. I'm like, well.
You're just telling the truth.
The blue-eyed, blonde-haired college girls are catching literal herpes.
I have back in those days, and it works that fast to clear it up. 40 years later, I rarely have a breakout, and when I do, it's nothing.
Watch out, guys. Just be
herpes
careful.
Is really common. It's way more common than
Ask
most people think.
a chick.
I probably know more women who do have it than don't have it. You are not a bad person just because you have herpes, and if you're worried about what your parents
You're
are
a slut.
don't tell them. It's not their business.
Wait.
The physical and emotional suffering that you're experiencing right now, if you have it, then don't have it. You are not a bad person just because you have herpes. And if you're worried about what your parents are going to think, don't tell them. It's not their business. The physical and emotional suffering that you're experiencing right now will get better.
And this is the thing. We have this revenge fantasy, like this. These decisions will catch up to women. They don't. I'm telling you. This girl, right, that's crying here,
It's the same girl who was driving or in her car talking about, I haven't told my parents yet. Guys, you have to be careful. Oh my goodness.
Some guy is still gonna do it. Mm-hmm.
Have these outbreaks for the rest of my life.
And she's gonna turn into this girl who's married with kids. Yep.
She's crying, and it's her
This
fault.
woman had 3 kids with herpes. Someone did it. Let me see the comments on here.
On her video.
Newly diagnosed. Here I'm learning to embrace it. I have so much anxiety every time I think about it. Thank you for the comforting information. Let's see what this girl looks like. Okay, she is not overly attractive. Oh, see, she's a mother. Let's see who else has it in the comments. Women really telling themselves in the comments. Let's see, the pup named Dior. See this girl, married. She said, I forget I had it. There you go. Yeah. They'll be fine. And a lot of people are like, oh, Pearl, cope. No.
If you get herpes,
I'm currently waiting on lab results, but currently having my first outbreak. You know what's crazy? That the guys told me some of the women that they told they had it still slept with them. I was like, okay, let's see. I just want to see how attractive the women are that have it. So this is another one with it. Yeah, see, you would see her at a club, right? You would think she was cute. You probably all would. 6, I'd say. 6, yeah. Herpes, there. She's in LA.
Herpes.
Okay, let's see who else. Who else is in the comments?
you passed that chick.
This girl said, I hope you're not going to lose sleep. My doctor said, I hope you're not going to lose sleep over this because it's so common.
If you're a slut.
I'm seeing this mostly with some 6s. 5s, that's what I'm seeing. Let's see.
Get up.
See who else is in these comments section. This girl, 10 years later, the first one was so hard, back-to-back outbreaks, but I barely noticed it anymore. This is the look.
She's
and
like
people,
chubby.
I mean, most of these women just look like normal. They don't look... Like, a lot of guys will say, oh, you can tell. Could you? Really? To anyone who is feeling like this happens to me as well. I am not married to a man who didn't care at all. There is much hope. I barely have outbreaks. Yeah, that's what I've seen in the people I interviewed. I guess it's really bad. It gets less bad over time. Your body learns to fight it.
You're not a bad person.
Ugh, I have outbreaks, but mine happen on and around my lips. It's terrible.
Lips?
So.
Now this girl looks like in the ad. I guarantee she's had
I'm
herpes.
sorry.
Okay, would you guys be able to tell?
I came here to...
There you go, fellas. All right, let's see what's next. All right, let's see who's got it next.
If I could ask 2 questions.
You guys would be able to tell? Really? You could tell the difference? That's what I was in a space, and there was a guy in the space talking about how he dated a woman who they were about to hook up, and she told him. And there was another girl in the space. Well, you just date thoughts. Da 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 da. Yeah, like you could, like I like to show the faces because you're not gonna know. Does this woman you'd be able to tell? Really?
I could tell.
I have herpes. I have herpes. You heard me right. And I'm simply done allowing that statement to cultivate shame for me anymore. I'm done. I contracted herpes when I was 19 years old. I am 28. And I spent almost 10 years carrying around this heavy heavy load of shame surrounding the fact that I have HSV. I contracted herpes from a man that I trusted. I thought we were dating. Obviously, my standards were very low back then, and I had asked him,
wear a condom always, even with your boyfriend, girlfriend. I'm telling you guys. Well, it's a calculated risk, right? I'm not going to...
If you have herpes, you're a bad person if you don't tell the people you have sex with going forward. And you're a slut. If you're gonna have sex with random guys, you hear about women's body counts being, like 30, 40, 50. You don't deserve herpes. You deserve HIV. But
I'm going to say do or don't. It's your sex lives. But if you're living together, okay, you're kind of more guaranteed. But out of the 3 that I interviewed that had it, 1 got it with a condom. It's something that could happen.
It's just like when a condom breaks and you get a girl pregnant. But it's still better going in with armor than no armor. I know it feels so much better without. But guys, if you just go, it's not like it was back when I was a teenager in the 90s. Herpes has gone up, it's up to 61%. Now, I think that's for women. I don't know if it's for men and women. I think it was just women. I mean, you didn't have to worry about this BS. For some women, yes. But I don't know. Women are just they just got bored over the last 25, 30 years. And it's like every woman is becoming a sexaholic. And they're just sleeping with him. You could give a girl a compliment about her hair. And if you're a good-looking guy, go to a bar or a club, give a compliment. Bam! Next thing you know, you're banging her. In your apartment.
To anybody. And you can see that with the difference in women
car
that I'm showing on here. The guys that I interviewed with it, 3 different races. I wouldn't have known. The women that I interviewed, most of, because men are more honest, so I found more men. It's interesting. There's more women talking about this on the internet. But when I was trying to find people like personally to interview or like just on Twitter telling them to call, whatever, I found more men willing to talk about it.
If he had been tested, but I never verified any test results. And I want to also add that while I take accountability for the fact that I should have verified the test results, at 19 years old I was extremely naive. I was raised in a very fundamental Christian household where I received 0 sex education. The extent of
blah, blah, blah. The internet is available. We all, can we...
Why do women always do this? They come up with excuses. They just... 19? When I was 16, I knew what, STDs were. I was 19, I was naive, I didn't know this, I didn't know that. I didn't know fast food restaurants had drive-thrus. I didn't know there were stop signs, I thought green meant stop and red meant go.
I think sex ed is weird for adults to be teaching children.
I took it.
Delete me. The internet can be a crazy place, but you know what? It's full of your data. Data brokers are...
In 8th grade, and
But
I already knew most of the stuff.
at some point you got to be accountable. The internet's available. You can Google this stuff. Yeah.
Of sex education that I received was one time my mom sitting me down and saying, "Hey Lana, we need to talk about the birds and the bees," and I got really embarrassed and I was like, "Oh, I already know," and she said okay and walked out of the room. That was it. I was pulled from sex ed in school, so my education surrounding sexual health was extremely limited, and also the way that I viewed myself in relation to men at that point was already very skewed, so I didn't question him at all when he said, "Yeah, I'm tested and I'm clean." Finding out that I had herpes was easily one of the most devastating days of my entire life.
And I'm glad, and I hope it hurt like hell. See how women, they just find ways to blame other people. Her mom, religion, her age, 19. There's 19-year-olds who are like sophomores in college. I mean,
I can't even explain the feeling of defeat and helplessness that you feel when you know that you have a virus that is going to impact the rest of your life and the way that you engage with men. For so long, it really made me feel like I wasn't even worthy and I couldn't attract a quality partner, and I was so...
Yeah, I mean, it definitely takes your dating pool market way down unless you lie. And that's why I try to really emphasize, I really try to stress that, because I'm telling you guys, people with it, their choice is to tell this very personal information on like a first or second date, right? Or their choice is to lie. Most of them lie. I had a different friend. He went on a date with a girl who told him second date. And he was kind of mean to her, right? I mean, he was like, "Oh, it's disgusting." Da, 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 da. And I told him, I'm like, "Look, you are lucky she was honest. You are lucky that she was honest, because most of them lie. You got very,
true.
I mean, he was probably fine, but I can understand his reaction. It is gross, but I'm telling you, I've done these interviews. They're lying. A lot of them.
So much.
I respect any of you women who have an STD and you tell a person, if you tell the guy beforehand, before you have sex. I respect you so much. For all you women that are just like, I'm not going to say anything. I'm still going to be my normal self and have sex with guys, and if they get it, so be it. All you women that say I got an STD, so much respect. So much respect.
Seeking acceptance, that I would literally date any man that would accept me as soon as I had, told him that I had the virus. I did not tell my friends for almost a decade. The only person that knew outside the men that I slept with was my sister.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. These people with it, they have to run the risk that you're going to tell other people. And most of them, I mean, my friend told me about his date. So now their reputation's on the line. What's the incentive? I don't try to do right or wrong. I try to say, what's the incentive here? Now, there's an incentive for these women to go on the internet because they get attention, they get to not feel alone, and they can build a herpes brand. So.
And the partners that I chose post-herpes diagnosis were very low caliber, very low quality. My sense of self-worth had dropped so low because of the fact that I had herpes. It was already low to begin with, let me be clear. But contracting herpes made it substantially worse. And the partners I then dated throughout my 20s, rock bottom. My standards were in hell. And I recently have been going through a big journey of really just trying to take ownership of anything that brings me shame. And this is one thing that I knew I couldn't avoid talking about. I truly thought that I would take this information to my grave. I hid this so deeply from my friends that even when I would travel with girlfriends, I would put the medication in a separate bottle because I didn't want anybody to see the antibodies, like medication bottle in my bag. But I just ain't doing that anymore. I have herpes. It's a part of who I am. It does not change my value, my worth,
It does, significantly, actually, in the dating marketplace. I'm not saying you're not a nice person, but in the dating marketplace, much lower. Much lower.
It is simply a virus that I contracted that I now have in my body. It's very dormant. I haven't had an outbreak in years. Really, the only way it impacts my life now is the fact that I have to tell partners, I have to disclose it. And I recently started dating somebody new, and I realized I'm still getting tripped up having the disclosure conversation. So I decided I'm just going to take ownership of it. I released a podcast episode telling the whole world that I have herpes, and now I'm here telling you, if you have herpes, you are not alone. You are not less worthy.
You are, but I mean, let's see. I met a girl, and on her second date, she told me she had it. I was able to make a choice. Now she's my wife, and I have 2 beautiful children. What a no. I was diagnosed today, and I cried for hours. Okay, well.
Best friends.
Reverse girl just isn't for me. You see holes, and I see your toes and throw a gang sign.
Best friend.
I'm sorry, that's why. Alright, let's see who else is in this comment section. And you know what's so funny? It says, I've been getting cold sores and fever blisters since I was 9. I was told I got it as an infant, and I was most likely kissed by someone infected. So that's like HSV1. Like the cold sores in the mouth, that's way more common. And they blame it on someone kissing the kid, but it's more likely that the...
Oh, herpes is... If you could tell... I heard this a long time ago about if you see a woman with like a bunch of little dots, like that look like zits or pimples, that means they give a lot of blowjobs, and they got herpes by giving a lot of blowjobs. I don't know if that's still true. Is that true?
Mother had it, but we're not having that conversation. Who else has it? I went out with a girl that had it for years. When it was active, she'd say we'd have different fun. I never even got it after I got tested. Wow. Actually, that is the people I interviewed. The guy said a lot of the girls that they hooked up with didn't get it. Or they never, like, one guy gave me his stats. He said he hooked up with 100 women, no protection, did not care, no medication. I'm telling you, these guys are demons. And he said maybe 4 girls got it out of 100. Now, I don't know if maybe some got it and didn't tell them. They're sleeping with multiple guys. Let me know you guys' experience in the comments. My story's identical to yours. I also got it at 19. Let's see these pictures on this one. No, I don't see any. Yeah, I'm 50 years old and contracted it from my husband. He knew he had it before we married and never told me. 2 years later, I found out he had it. Guys, I'm telling you, be careful.
The whole sex world, man, it's mainly women, but I once watched, and this is true, this is like 20 years ago, I watched some talk show where a guy had, he's probably dead now, had AIDS. And I think he was gay, I'm not sure, but he said that he was going to have sex. His journey is to have sex and then give AIDS to as many men as possible, or as many people as possible. I can't remember if he was gay, but there's that. I'm going to end the video here. There's a video from Fresh and Fit where a girl had has HIV. She said, I'm not going to tell any of the guys. It's up to them. It's not my responsibility. If they want to have sex with me and ask me or wear a condom, it's up to them. It's not up to me. Yes, it is. I think it's a leak. Wait, let's see.
The other guys say that we're a bunch of faceless chefs.
Oh, I hate YouTube ads. I'm not going to pay for anything to block them.
Chats, into mindful, blah, blah, blah. If you call me a good girl, it's game over. I'm a sex educator with a very public following, but I like to keep my personal life private for now. HSV 1 and 2.
A bit more descriptive, if you catch my drift. I usually have a conversation once.
6 is my rating for the herpes women. I haven't really seen a super attractive woman.
She's hot.
But the thing is, super attractive women can go on the internet and just get attention. They don't have the incentive to do a cause. They can just be hot. I don't know if it's, I think it's more common with mids, because mids, I would say, are sluttier. They got to put out more in order to compete with the hot women. So let me watch.
One of the most heartbreaking things that I see with those of us who get herpes is that people will just like completely take themselves out of the dating world. 2 things actually. Removing yourself from the dating scene, and the other one is just like deciding that you're going to settle for anyone who accepts your herpes status. I want you to think about, like, if you had herpes orally, which I know people who have it orally can struggle in their own ways, and literally most humans have that, whether they get cold sores or not. Like, I probably have it too. But when you have it orally, you wouldn't think about the fact.
I'm so tired of people with herpes trying to convince me that everyone has it. It's really common, but, you know, speak for yourself.
I know.
Like, could you just... some of us did not get it, alright?
Yeah. Exactly. I'm not in the video there. It's too long. Just be careful, guys. I mean, if you don't care, then, you know, go out, do your thing. Risk it for the biscuit, you know? I mean, go for it. Have sex with a girl you met at a bar, a club. She's hot as hell. You go back to her place or your place. You raw dog it. Do whatever you want. Just know the risk. Anyways, like always and forever, take care, be safe, peace.